My first question for you is this: In-N-Out or Five Guys?
In-N-Out.
Tell me why.
Animal style, Five Guys could get a little soggy, but In-N-Out's always a classic.
Yeah.
Can go to lean on. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a winner.
Welcome to Season 3 of 10 Questions with 10 Pastors. Brought to you by Gateway Seminary. With your host, Tyler Sanders. This episode was recorded live at the 2023 SBC Annual Meeting.
I'm here with James Turner, who's the planter and pastor of Eastvale Bible Church that started in Eastvale and now is meeting in Norco, California, Southern California, really close to our campus in Ontario. And you are you've been a Gateway student. You've come in and come out, and we're ready for you to come back again.
Oh yeah. Back in the Golden Gate days.
Yeah, back in the Golden Gate days. That's right. Now, can you tell me just to start off a little bit about how you became a Christian?
Yes, I got saved when I was 13, raised in the church. At that time, we saw people who were around my age, getting baptized because mom said it was time. But for me, I knew it had to be a move from God. And then so I heard a message of the gospel from my pastor that, again, I've heard him preach over and over again. But the Lord worked on my heart that day, and I surrendered to Christ at 13. So gave my life to Christ at 13. But from 13 to 26 or so, I call those the wonder years. Even though I was in church, I hadn't been discipled or anything like that. And then at 26, kind of recommitted my life to Christ, and then God just took off from there.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, what are you reading right now? Do you have any good books?
I'm reading the Power in Preaching series by Tony Evans.
Yeah.
It's a series of books actually taking our ministers through his free training in his Kingdom preaching training program.
Yeah.
So reading that, Urban Apologetics, kind of reading that, and then another one, Reading While Black, which is a theology book as well. So the only thing I hate about being a pastor is I don't get a chance to read like I used to. I used to read a book start to finish. Table of contents to appendix, but now I get pieces.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's talk about preaching a little bit. What's your approach, like your big picture approach? How do you think about themes or series? How far out are you planning?
Well, I don't plan as far out as I like, but I preach through books, which makes it really, a lot easier for me. So mostly during the year, probably about 80%, 85%, we're preaching through a book of the Bible and following that theme. Again, certain holidays or certain topics that may pop up, we may address. But right now, like we're going through 2 Corinthians. We're preaching a series called Authentic. We're walking, through that. And so like I said, we preach through a book.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what's your week-to-week sermon prep routine like?
Usually, because we preach through a book, I kind of know where I'm going. Yeah. So on Monday, even though that's my sabbatical day. Yeah. I may kind of review, the passage that I want to go through, and then I'll pick up a bit of it on like Tuesday or so. But usually Thursday through Friday is my primary grind, and then Saturday I may look at it and tap it up and then get it to my team. Yeah. And do they review it with you or something like that, or is it more for your media group, something like that? The media group, I'll get some feedback afterward. They'll tell me, hey, that was actually terrible. Yeah. No, but they'll give me some feedback, and I'll review the video, or and my wife is my my kind of my sounding board. She'll tell me you might need to change some illustrations, buddy. You use that a little too much. Yeah. What would you say is the most difficult or challenging passage you've preached? Wow. Man, I've been preaching 20 years. That's quite. What's the most challenging? I would say just preaching for me through the Psalms has been, challenging because just trying to make sure that you honor, the passage, honor, the theme, and that's been probably the most Psalm 51 has probably been one of the most challenging ones because I put myself in David's shoes, and it's sometimes challenging, just to see, hey, this is a man after God's own heart,
right?
Knowing his backstory and then hearing his brokenness, in that psalm, it's probably one of the most challenging.
Yeah,
that was a great question. I wasn't ready for.
You weren't ready for that?
No.
Well, this is more general ministry. We're getting to general ministry section, and I think you're going to have a good answer for this because you're a church planner, and that means you have to do lots of different things.
Yes.
So what's like a sweet spot for you in pastoral ministry? Like what's a role you really like to fill, and what's one that's like a growing edge, something you're still kind of working on?
In pastoral ministry, well, my sweet spot is teaching. I could teach all day. I teach a pastor's Bible study on Tuesday night. I've either been in one or taught Tuesday study probably about 20 years. That's where God groomed me in Tuesday night Bible study, introduced me to my mentors, discipled me through that. And so teaching that's my sweet spot. I can teach all day. As far as pastor, the place that I got some rough edges is just on the administrative end, dealing with human resource issues. As a church planter, I was just sharing this with Zahadi Lewis that some of the difficulties is that you have people who came up with you in the ministry, people who serve with you, family, friends, and then when you have to say, hey, it's no longer a good fit, or it wasn't a good fit from the beginning, we just needed a warm body. Those have been difficult, for me. And so I've been learning the leader part as opposed to the shepherd part. And that's been a challenge for me.
Yeah. Can you tell me like a swing and a miss you've had in ministry?
I would say church planting.
The whole thing.
No, not the whole thing. A swing and a miss, and I'm a baseball guy too. I'll say first strike. Some of the church planting pieces, putting people in their roles. Because when we planted as an orphan. We had no sending church, no supporting church. Right. Came out of a church that had a 49-year history, pretty successful, 22 people to 5,000. So I had a great, resource base far as experience, but nobody had church planting experience whatsoever. Right. And so when we kind of started, almost everything was swings and misses. Yeah. But, from again, putting people in positions where they can really leverage their experience, their gifts, their calling, for kingdom. Sometimes we misplaced them just because, again, we needed a warm body and somebody who was available, which I thought, in hindsight, that was really unfair, really kind of set them up for failure. So I think that was kind of a swing and a miss, but praise God it wasn't the third strike. So I was able to get in there, do 2 strike hitting and, put one in play.
Yeah, right. Now, what's something that in seminary, like a student has to learn? Like something that if they come out of seminary, they don't have it, they've kind of missed something critical.
In seminary, I think the one thing that a student has to take away is the interpersonal piece. The academic piece is there. Yeah. I know you working for a seminary, you heard all the stories, it's the cemetery, right. All that. But I think you got to really learn the relational networking piece to really take away from, the professors, the directors, those people that have great experience, take away those things that may not necessarily get caught in the classroom. To spend time, Dr. Durst used to do this little thing where he would take time to just kind of get to know the students, and he would do that during class, and which was an important piece. And he spent a lot of time outside the classroom, kind of getting to know students. And so I think students need to make sure that they take advantage of those opportunities, because you have people before you who have a wealth of experience, and sometimes we get so focused, we want the grade. So we get focused on the books, focused on the tests, all the things we say that in seminary, don't do like you do at the regular universities. This is for your, for your life, right? This is for kingdom, but we really, I need an A, right? And we miss that. And so I think developing that interpersonal piece, connecting with people, tapping into those resources that are right before you.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with Dr. Gainey, actually. Did you ever have him?
No.
Every class, he would take a student just for 5 or 10 minutes and get to know him a little bit and learn about. And he kept up with me for years.
Wow.
From that conversation of just like, okay, well, you told me this. Like, how are you progressing in this? And that is a really valuable, maybe putting it too lightly. That was very life, I think, forming for me.
Yeah. And the one thing I love about, now social media, they didn't have it when I started at Gateway, but that some of those professors we're still able to connect with. And like you said, I think valuable is underselling it. But those pieces were something I think that students would do well to leverage those experiences.
Here's my last question for you. If you could take young James, first-year pastor, what advice would you give him?
I would take young James and I would tell him to connect with, your mentor and really ask him the questions. Spend time with them. Just shadow them. Don't think you know everything, right? Because, again, we got some pretty sharp people, that high capacity leaders that become pastors, go to seminary, and sometimes we smell ourselves. We really think that we know a lot. Right. But I would tell younger James to just, put your hand down, listen, right? Take that time out, maybe ask a professor or ask a pastor, hey, let me take you to lunch. And let me pick your brain. Right. And so those are some of the things that I would do different. I would leverage some of those experiences that I wish I could go back and get.
Yeah. That's fantastic. James, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you. This was a blessing. Appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you. And thank you.